Hello, Melissa, and
Hello, hello, good
hello,
afternoon.
Charlie. Hey,
Hi,
how are
hi.
you today?
Great.
Great, thank you.
Great. Great as in everyday great or like thumbs up great? Oh,
Really
double thumbs
excited to
up,
be here,
double
yes.
thumbs up. It feels great to finally get to see you, and in a few moments we will get to know you. But first of all, how about we give a nice round of happy hands to you that are watching us right now? Hey! And I'm sure these round of happy hands will be returned to you once you are on stage at our District 109 conference. So first of all, there is only one rule today. If any of the questions I ask you today sound a bit nasty to you, feel free to return the question. Just put a stamp on it, return to sender. Are we okay with that?
Sounds
All
good.
right. All right. So, first of all, I would love to get to know you. So, let's put it that way. Melissa, when you first get to know a new person, how would you like to be on their radar screen for the first time?
Yeah, excellent question. We can draw it by my name. So I'm Portuguese, and in Portugal, we tend to have these very long family names combining name of my mom, mom of my mom, and my dad's side, etc. Eventually, you get married, name of your husband. So I'm actually Melissa. Some of my names, the Luz Dias, that means in Portuguese from the light days. I love the sunshine. And Buerbaumer, that's from the side of my husband. It's a German name. He's Austrian. So Melissa who loves sunshine. That's it.
That's beautiful. Melissa, indulge me for a second. Let me do my best in Portuguese to repeat your surname. De Luz, educate
The
me.
Luz Dias. Yeah.
De Luz Dias.
Yes.
Melissa De Luz Dias
Yes.
Buerbaumer. All right, all right. Well, with Charlie LaFond, it's a little bit easier, unless I got the LaFond part wrong.
No, that's correct.
Feel free to correct me. So, Charlie, welcome to our radar. How would you like to be on our radar?
Oh, I don't know. I think that I maybe don't want to be on the radar at all because I'm kind of worried about making a good impression on people. So I think it would probably not be a good idea for me to be excited or happy or even interested in trying to share myself. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Charlie, and I believe in having a good time and having enjoyment in life and really, yeah, finding out about what makes people tick. I like enjoying listening to people. I like enjoying working with people. I like to examine, help, support, and of course, educate. And the
Mm.
word educate comes from Latin educare, and it doesn't mean to put in, it means to pull out. And that's what I really enjoy doing with people as well, is helping pull that information out that's inside of all of us already. So that's me.
Wow, I did not know that about educate. And I like to enjoy learning. I'm going to borrow this phrase from you. I like to enjoy. I resonate with that. I like to enjoy learning. So, Charlie, a follow up question, if I may. So,
Certainly.
does this mean that we are born wise, but we just lose the thread as we go along and we have to return back to our natural wisdom? Or does this sound a little bit too esoteric, perhaps?
No, I think that we're all born quite wise, and that a lot of our schooling is really focused very much on left brain type of thinking and forgets
Mm.
that we have the right brain as well, which is the creativity, the ability to think outside of the box, the ability to move outside of our normal boundaries, to be
Mm.
far from the norm. And yeah, we need to learn how to do that a little bit better. Absolutely.
Definitely, definitely. I need to learn how to do that, and I want to learn how to do that a little bit better. Creativity is the sweet spot of Melissa's expertise. So I want to ask the same question to Melissa. Are we born perhaps ultimately creative with our creative channels fully open, and then kind of we lose touch with that as we go along? And is this something we can relearn? I wonder, Melissa.
Yes, excellent question. And that also drives to the core of some of the message of my presentation. There have been some tests and some scientific studies behind these, and it's actually true. As you move further in your schooling between preschool and early teen years, it tends to be that your creativity is going to be drained. Your ability to think outside the box is going to be extremely limited, because the schools tend to reward the right answers and not the benefit of creative thinking. So there is wrong and right. And if you get it right, you're going to be rewarded. If you get wrong, you're going to be punished. And you go through this process, and this totally narrows down. So some tests have been carried out in mass proportions, and actually validating these. And so that's why there is this quote that the creative adult is the child that survived. So whether, and it's really, as you move through your studies, latest by the time you get to university, your creativity already went down, and then you go through university, and really latest by the time you get your first job, and chances are you have to kind of do a specific effort, a targeted effort to reconnect with your creativity. And there are many ways that this can be done. And so, yes, I tend to agree with that it's something that you are born with. And unfortunately, it's something that our school system, there is even these that the school is killing creativity, the current teaching methods, most of them. And I think it's something that we need to look at, and I think it needs to change.
It rings a lot of truth to me, Melissa, that creativity is in fact an ability rather than just an isolated personality feature. And with targeted effort, as I heard to say, perhaps we can rebuild it up to child level.
Exactly.
This quote moves me. And I wonder if Charlie has a favorite quote of his that perhaps pertains to the educational aspect of humans. Charlie?
As a matter of fact, I do, Panos. And I've got a very strong affinity for Leonardo da Vinci. And Leonardo da Vinci said something, well, he said many things that I like to take on board. But the one that I think is really important is we can have no smaller or greater mastery than mastery of one's self. We can have no smaller or greater mastery than mastery of oneself. And I think that's something that's really, really important for us. And I think that's what ties me so closely to Toastmasters as well, is because that's what all of us are striving to do at Toastmasters, is find out a little bit more about ourselves and how we can improve, how we can be better. So that's my quote for you.
Wow. I'm blown away. It's a very practical way to put the old Greek adage, know thyself, because it also includes the word mastery, and the word mastery in my book contains hard work. I don't think there is any way to arrive at mastery without involving a good deal of hard work. What do you think? Any objections to that?
No, persistence. I think persistence is absolutely key. And that's something that we, as human beings, we tend to give up too quickly. And what's really important as well, coming to that aspect there of education and whatnot, where does failure start? Failure starts here. When I say I give up. As long as I don't give up, all I'm doing are making mistakes. But when I fail, when I give up, that's what failure is all about. So if we can keep on focusing on the persistence aspect, if we didn't give as good a speech as we wanted to, that wasn't failure. That was just making some mistakes that we can learn from. When we stop growing, when we stop moving forward, that's when we fail.
So stick to it, stay with the process until the process starts paying back. That's how I understand your words, Charlie, and thank you for it. So guys, while reading your bios that we can find on the district website, I thought to myself the following saying: if you are the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. Because it turns out today I am in the right room with both of you because you've had overwhelming depth in your careers. And before we dive deeper into your expertise, one thing I'm dying to know is a fun fact from you, perhaps something that one does not find in your professional bios, something that excites you. What would be a fun fact in your life, Melissa?
Yeah, a fun fact or something that maybe not many people know is actually connected to my experience by living and working in New York. And I think I'm, growing up in Europe, you probably had the same, there are just too many movies and series that are broadcasting in New York. And I said, if I'm going to be in New York at a point in time, I somehow have to be part of a movie. And then the moment in time came, and I got the chance to be an extra in a movie that was being filmed within the United Nations building. It's called Interpreter, and this was a highlight of my time there. I got to work with Sean Penn and Sidney Pollack and Nicole Kidman, so it was really exciting, and you learn so many things. And of course, I was an extra. I couldn't say anything. I didn't have a major role. I was just sitting in the General Assembly, pretending to be a Portuguese delegate. But I learned two things. Number one is Sidney Pollack is an amazing boss. Unfortunately, meanwhile, he passed away. You'll be stuck in that room like from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m., rehearsing, persisting. And he always had the positive words. I said, this was excellent, but you know what? Let's try it once again. And he kept the people motivated. I was impressed. He's really, one of the best leaders. Unfortunately, I didn't get to work that much. I think overall we were there 4 weekends in a row, Saturday to Sunday. And the second thing that I learned is how long it takes to get for a movie to become a high quality movie. So if you think in these terms, that movie took a year to be produced. And so it's about 1 minute a day. And then you can just put that into context. When you say, oh, this is the expense, it's going to take too long. Do you know how long it takes to get a movie from A to Z? And so all the things that seem to be so natural, and all these amazing actors and talented people, it takes many rehearsals. And then, of course, at the time I joined the Toastmasters about 2 years later after the movie. And it was, oh, just going to go do your spontaneous, which is going to be amazing. It takes a lot of practice to, you have to have specific targeted practice to get to a point where it sounds natural. And this is something that then, of course, with events of TED Talks, etc., and you see these amazing speakers, but sometimes it took a lifetime to get there. They have been researching these topics for as long as they can remember, and then everything seems so natural and amazing. But it's when you get to that level of professionalism, it really takes consistent practice. So it was very eye-opening.
It takes
so
a
this
village.
Is a fun fact, but also very enlightening.
It takes a village and it takes a lifetime. And if a person with the magnitude of skills that, as Sidney Pollack said, rehearse, in Toastmasters we say, practice.
Exactly.
So, Charlie, Melissa has been in a movie. Can you beat that with the fun fact about yourself, Charlie?
Well, actually, I'd like to share two fun facts with you. First of all, some people collect cars, some people collect coins, some people collect stamps. I collect elephant jokes. So if any of you happen to have a good elephant joke, then please pass it my way, because I really enjoy collecting elephant jokes. So that was fun fact number one. Fun fact number two is a little bit, well, completely different. I'd like to diverge completely from that aspect. How many of you have heard of, or have either of you heard of the Six Majors, which is the marathon, the international marathons that take place? And these are the six largest marathons in the world. So you've got London, Tokyo, New York, Boston, Chicago, and Berlin. And I've run them all.
Wow.
In the last 5 years. So
Wow.
so really, and I didn't start running until I was until 7 years ago.
Wow.
So I know what persistence means. Trying to stick with it, trying to stay with that, and I also I quit smoking a few years ago. I needed to do something different. I found out when I quit smoking that I started eating a lot of gummibärli. I started to blow up and get larger and larger, and I was up to about 90 kilos and realized that's not good either. So I then decided to start running and ended up setting that as my goal. First it was just a 5K run, then a 10K run, then a half a marathon. And then I set my sights on the 6 marathons, and there are only about 6,800 people to date that have run those in the world.
Wow. You know, Charlie, I couldn't even run to save my life, and I just admit that. Wow, that's quite a feat. Congratulations.
I do.
So I'm now sharing this experience with Mr. Persistence and Miss Targeted Practice, and you guys drive me with motivation. I'm gonna start something today. I'm gonna start something new, and I'm gonna commit to that because I feel that spirit in you. But one thing we want you listening to us right now to commit to is to attending and participating in Melissa's and Charlie's workshops on Saturday, May 15th. Now, Melissa will be on at 2 p.m. Central Eastern Summertime, CEST, and Melissa's workshop title is How to Ignite Your Toastmaster Creative Spark and Sharpen Your Divergent Thinking. So, Melissa, I'm going to give you a minute to tell us what the workshop is all about. What are you going to be speaking to us about?
Yes, so the workshop starts by highlighting the creativity in today's world. So, for example, the creativity has been ranked together with ideation and innovation as one of the top skills for the future of workforce. And this is where we see a divergence between what's happening in schools and in the workforce, where creativity was not always rewarded, with it becoming one of the top skills. This comes also from the fact that many jobs are being automated, and we need to tap into our own creative potential more than ever. So I think this is a wake-up call to all of us. I think also about that because I also have two kids, and sometimes I wonder, exactly what's going to be the jobs of the future, and how can we help also in society or as parents to develop this, not just for us but also for our kids. And the second part, so basically I'll be talking about a specific brainstorming tool that was developed many decades ago, and that helps you to do structured brainstorming. And then we will have the breakout groups. So one of my fellow Toastmasters, Maria Sheperin, is going to help me with that. And we're going to rehearse how we could use this tool. So we come back with excellent ideas next time you are on table topics, or next time you have to become more innovative in the way you structure your agenda in a Toastmasters meeting, or when you have to come up with a title for your speech, and how we can use creativity to bring that to the next level. And I know it can be stressful, and one of the things, so I did a few courses on creativity, but one of the things that we need to note is, you should go around and they have the book of things that annoy you, and look at those things and then try to find solutions for those things. So become curious about everything that annoys you. And one of the things that annoyed me is sometimes I was just running out of ideas, for either for a speech or for the table topics, how to really come up with something. And so I saw to use this technique, and I'm looking forward to share that with all the participants. So
Melissa,
that's
one of the things that amaze me with you is how creative you are in your speaking. I mean, to keep up with you, you draw my focus immensely. So here's a follow-up question for you. Now, if you put yourself in the shoes of your listener right here, right now, what will the listener walk away with by listening to your workshop? Perhaps you could give us a list of like 1, 2, 3 short phrases so that we know what to expect. Melissa.
Yeah. Number one is that creativity is a serious business, and we have to take it very seriously. We have to make targeted efforts to get better at it. And final is get technology with this tool is a simple tool. I'm going to be using actually Smarties to bring this idea and how the brainstorming tool works, and use this tool to sharpen your creative divergent thinking in a Toastmasters context. And guess what? Once you know it, you can use it anywhere in your life. So yeah.
Wow.
So you're going to walk away with a very good tool to sharpen your divergent thinking at the end of the workshop.
Definitely. And as Toastmasters, we reward the speakers that give us something applicable that makes us reflect on our current level of ability and level up our game. Now, Charlie, you've been waiting patiently, and let me first share that Charlie's presentation is create brain-friendly slides. Brain-friendly slides, I like that. To our cortex, there is no such thing as words. And Charlie is also on Saturday, May 15, 2021 at 11 a.m. Central Eastern Summer Time. So, Charlie, I'm going to ask you both these questions. What is the workshop about? And what are 3 main takeaways that your listener will walk away with? Charlie.
Thank you very much. First of all, I do a lot of work training business people in the area of negotiation skills, presentation skills, conflict management, and business facilitation. So I'm used to working with business people a lot, and I see a lot of PowerPoint shows. And a lot of PowerPoint shows that are not very effective. And so I've created this mission for myself of trying to get people to think a little bit more from the point of view of the listener, from the point of view of the audience, what makes it easier for them to understand the message that you're trying to give. And let's face it, 75% of all information that we take in comes in through our eyes, and only 15% through our ears. That means that our sense of sight is 5 times stronger than our sense of hearing. So you're standing up and you're presenting to someone, to the board of directors, to important clients, and you've got a slide that's got a whole pile of information on it. And the people's eyes are automatically going to try to figure out what they see. And until they understand what they see, they do not listen to what you say. And that's very, very important to understand here. If people do not understand what they see, and the neocortex does not like words, it does not think in words. How many of you dream in words? I mean, literally dream in a text. When you're sleeping at night, when you wake up in the morning, do you have, oh yeah, I was on page 37 when I suddenly woke up out of my dream? No, we don't dream in words. We dream in pictures, we dream in motion, sometimes black and white, sometimes color, but it's all analog. It's not with words. As a matter of fact, our brain has a very, very difficult time dealing with digital information. Let me give you an example here. I'd like you to remember the following number. Are you ready? Yeah? Got the memory going? There are 8,794,653 people who live in Austria. How many people live in Austria?
More than 7 billion?
A little bit over 8 million.
That's just 7 digits. And you look at most people's slides, and there's a lot more information on that, and that wasn't presented brain friendly. So my whole idea is let's try to get our information across a little bit more brain friendly. If we can present the information such that the mind can understand it, that the brain can understand it easily, then we're going to get that information across more effectively. Now, my particular presentation is going to be a presentation. It's not going to be a workshop. So I'm going to be presenting for about 30 minutes and then have some time afterwards for question and answer. But during these 30 minutes, I'm going to be covering 3 key areas that will help you become a little bit more effective. Number 1, brain-friendly slides. Number 2, we're going to be looking at the key elements for dealing with data slides, what you should keep in mind with that aspect as well. And we're also going to be looking at slide design from the point of view of contrast and that kind of thing. So lots of little tips and tricks, some of which you might already know, but once again, common sense is something that we don't use as often as we really should. So we need to review some of these things. So there might be some new information. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of new information, but there's also going to be some very interesting repetition of information, perhaps presented from a different perspective, so that you can really begin to understand how it is that slides can be designed a little bit more effectively, with the goal of the next time you sit down at PowerPoint, you look at it with a little bit different aspect. I'm not saying don't use PowerPoint. We're faced with PowerPoint in the business world. We need to use it. 99% of all companies use PowerPoint, but we can use it more effectively or less effectively. And I'm trying to help us find that road where we can use it a bit more effectively.
Wow, I cannot wait. So Charlie, if I did my best to summarize this you're sharing in a single sentence, I would put it like this. It's a fresh perspective that you're going to be offering us on how to make it easy to our listeners to follow us. And this is our job as speakers. How does this sound? Yeah, I see nodding. Yeah. Thank you. I cannot wait.
Oh, and one other last aspect is, because there's going to be a lot of information that I'm going to be covering, if the participants then send me their email, I would be more than happy to send them about a 10-page text that summarizes all of the different aspects that I'm talking about in the presentation itself.
Great.
So you get that afterwards as a real solid takeaway that you can then refer to and go back in, because you're not going to remember everything I said.
Great. Thank you. Much obliged. Thank you, Charlie. I have one question for you that relates to the title of our conference, Leading with Divergent Thinking. Now, divergent to me means being totally out of the box, like totally being a category of one. And I would like to hear from both of you with a short phrase. What does divergent mean to you? Melissa.
Yes, it's an excellent question, and I also built it into my presentation. But if I could summarize it in one sentence, and it's a famous quote by Einstein, and it's the world we created is a product of our thinking. If we want to change the world, we have to change how we think.
Wow.
And I think that after what the world has been going through with COVID, and it's understanding that because we always think you as an individual can never make a difference, and it's all about individuals making a difference with responsible behavior and people being creative in how they adjust their business, they pilot with new solutions, and this can be at the end the difference between life or death. So I think if we want to change anything, we have to think out of the box, apply divergent thinking, and that's sometimes really the only way ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Melissa. Our external actions spring from our internal reflections, from the way we think. Now, I wonder what creativity means to Charlie. Charlie. Well, divergent thinking, not creativity, but
yeah. Okay, I think I'd like to latch on to Melissa's point there with Einstein, and like to add one more quote from Einstein. And he said that you cannot solve problems at the same level they were created at.
Yes,
You need
exactly.
to approach it from a different level in order to find the solution. And I think that's part of his divergent thinking that he used. And he is, for me, a role model as well. And I think that here, this concept of we need to think outside of the box. We need to think a little bit more creatively as well. And creatively means going far from the norm. The further from the norm you are, the more creative you can become.
Definitely.
So you need to start moving away from what you do all the time, every day. The brain is also something that really is habit oriented. And we really don't think very much. And I believe it was Bob Proctor who said 1% of the population think, 3% of the population think they think, and 96% of the population don't think at all. They just follow the rules. They just follow whatever anyone else is doing. Welcome to the world of lemmings. And that's what I really like about Toastmasters as well, is you can get away from that. You've got many more opportunities for divergent thinking, for diversity, the diverse groups that we've got, mentalities that we've got in the clubs and things like that. Absolutely fantastic. Now, I've been a member of this club for since 1985. So I've seen this club go through, Toastmasters go through many changes over these years. And I was originally an area governor back when there wasn't even a district in Europe, not a single district. The only district was in the UK. And I was responsible for the non-aligned clubs, from Buxtehude in the far north of Germany all the way down to Rome and Italy in the far south, and lots of the other outlying areas. And that was before the time of computer. So everything was done by phone, and divergent thinking is something that's really, really key. And I've seen a lot of it happening, and there's so much more that's happening in the future. I'm so happy to be part of this.
Charlie and Melissa, let me tell you one other thing that I discovered is definitely divergent. The new horizons we open up with our discussion. And I want to invite you, the listener, on Saturday, May 15th, make a commitment. 11 a.m. CEST, Charlie LaFond create brain-friendly slides. Your cortex, there is no such thing as words. And then at 2 p.m., Melissa Buerbaumer, how to ignite your Toastmaster creative spark and sharpen your divergent thinking. May 15 is the day to get more from Melissa and from Charlie. And I cannot wait to get to talk to you guys again. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Amos. You did a great job leading us.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to see you all.
Good luck as well to both of you. Great.
Bye.